So there's a big difference between the creator and the creation. And I think we just have to remember that God is stronger within us. Greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. And we have the power through him to defeat him in our daily struggles. And we do not need to be afraid.
Well, that's right. I love the old quote by Martin Luther. He said, "You always remember the devil is God's devil."
Yeah.
God is in control over him.
Yes.
And he's a creature. And, he doesn't have the power of God, and we need to remember that. That should be a great comfort to us.
Mark, you bring out that Satan can afflict us. Job is the example. And that's kind of a troubling thought to a lot of people, that he can cause affliction. We're going to talk in just another few minutes here about can he change the weather, things like that. But deal with affliction for just a minute.
Well, yes, Satan can clearly afflict people. I think, are you referring kind of to physical disease?
Yes.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Or just...
Yes.
I mean, he can certainly oppress us in many ways, but he can afflict people with physical disease. We see that in Job. One of the things I think is fascinating about Scripture and this whole idea of Satan and demons is many people believe, many scholars believe, that Job was the first book written in the Bible, the biblical canon of Scripture, the inspired Scripture that we have, that Job was the first book to be written, and you're just a few verses into the book of Job when you have Satan mentioned. So right from the outset, Satan is pictured as this arch enemy of God. And with Job, God allows Satan to be unleashed upon Job, as it were. And he afflicted Job with a terrible physical malady, a terrible disease. But we have to remember in the book of Job there, he only did it, though, with God's permission. God restrained him. He said, you can afflict him, but you can't take his life. So God still was the one with the power. But it does show us there that when allowed by God to do so, that Satan was able to cause this physical affliction to Job. And we see it in the Bible and other places in the Gospels. There were diseases caused by demons, muteness, blindness and muteness in one case, a demon-possessed man who was blind and mute, deafness, physical deformity, a woman who had for 18 years had a sickness caused by a spirit. So the Bible is clear to us that Satan has that power to do that. During the coming tribulation period for a span of 5 months in Revelation 9, demons are going to afflict unbelievers with painful physical torment. So Satan has that power, but again, that power is always circumscribed ultimately by the power of God. He can only do what God permits him to do. And again, we would say, well, why did God permit him to do that? Well, we have the book of Job as the result of that. It's been the supreme comfort down through the ages to those who are suffering.